All right, folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP, North Georgia Cancer Specialist, affiliated with Northside Hospital. It's time for Ask the Doc. We have Dr. Raymond Tidman over here. Who are you? I think I recognize you.
Were you in my red face?
I think I know you.
I mean, I'm your host, you know. Usually I wear
Dr. William Whaley.
A fancy tie. Rush Limbaugh died day before yesterday. And then he was in the tie business, and he was in the conservative radio business, and I got a signed picture of him his second year in business. It's in my office. So
good. I like
here's to you, Rush.
Yes, and
no politics on the show.
No politics.
And that's the truth. Okay, go ahead.
But the man sold ties.
Yeah,
and sold a lot of ties. Hi, how are you?
Fair to Midland.
He's wearing his socks.
I got the fancy butterfly socks on. Are we? I know we have two questions. Are we going to throw in derm cancer treatment today? Or?
No. But that's my red face.
But I will say this. Yeah. I want to prepare you.
What? Oh, yeah.
We have two questions that somebody has sent in, our audience, and then we have a question from my mom.
Oh.
We have a mom question.
Right. They're the best ones. Because what moms don't know is, that's pretty far up.
The first question?
No, we'll hold that one. But Mom sent a question. I think you guys are going to like it, so we'll hold on to that one.
We caught up in rain. We were 0.6 inches short last week. We're back up in rain, okay? And we're 10 degrees below the average temperature today, and it's going to be really sunny and pretty when Ray goes up to the mountains.
Let me say this. I am glad that we are back into answering their questions, and they're related to our health outside of COVID. Now, COVID, we still are going to have the discussion, but I'm really glad that we're back to answering those kind of questions.
Well, not only that, but the top 4 medical news issues this week we're going to talk about at the end, because one of them was the lack of preventive and primary care, particularly kids. No preschool physicals, so they're not getting eyes examined, they're not getting scoliosis,
right.
And they're not getting somebody talk about their shots. But that's at the end of the program now. You're getting out of sync.
All right. I'm not going to get out of sync.
I know exactly where this question came from. It actually came in last week on Thursday, but I didn't have it because I put these together on Wednesday night, as you remember. And I saw a patient exactly like this in my office yesterday. I am worried. Listen real carefully to this one, Ray. I am worried about my wife, who is 68 years old. We live half the year in Miami. That's a lot of up here. People live half the year up here and half the year somewhere else in a high rise. So that's densely populated. And we came up here in March. That's basically a year ago, when the COVID started, to be safe. And we have stayed in our mountain home full time. That I hear that every day. Only I go for shopping. She has low gamma globulin for 4 years and gets infusions every month and has had no infections or problems. She was a competitive tennis player until we came up here, and she's getting cabin fever, mental health. Poor woman has been nailed to the house for a year. She has what they call smoldering chronic leukemia of lymphocytes and has never needed to be treated. We're going to talk about where low gamma globulin comes from in a minute. Now she does video with her doctor in Miami every 3 months. So for a year, she's done all of her follow-up for gamma globulin and smoldering leukemia on infusion. And she gets her infusions up here from home health. So they're coming into the mountain house. They check her labs. This guy was good about his question. Now the doctor's pushing her hard to get the COVID vaccine. She is frightened to do so because of the internet. So she's been spending all the time she should have been playing tennis, sitting in the mountain cabin getting cabin fever and watching the internet. What do I think? Okay, basically.
Well, you got a lot to unpack there.
Well, it's easier but a lot of this is for you, you know. The answer is let her get the COVID shot and get her out of the house. As soon as she had both COVID shots, let her go back to playing tennis. That's the short answer. I put up that first one there, and we'll cover up the screen with this because it's huge. But we haven't talked about low gamma globulin here in a long time. You remember we talk about muggus, too much protein, but not the right part. So gamma globulin, is it covering up the whole screen? All right, I'll get it off in just a second. There are a lot of different things that do it, but in terms of impact, the first one is different kinds of stuff, like rheumatoid arthritis, you got kidney disease, and you excrete all your gamma globulins. But the second is chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and we've talked about muggus and all of that. Pull that thing down. Then the whole bottom of this are all rare, but low gamma globulin is not terribly rare. It's pretty big, but almost all of them are related to people that have chronic lymphocytic leukemia, monoclonal gammopathy or something, and only 3 per 100,000 are due to anything else. So get that one down. So this woman had this come with the onset of the diagnosis of smoldering chronic lymphocytic leukemia, which is not treated and is causing her no trouble. So we've done this quite a few times. That's called stage 0, when you got lymphocytes in the blood, and it says median survival greater than 10 years, meaning we don't even know what it is. You live a long time. So they're doing the right thing to this lady. Pull that down and put up the next one. So the treatment for chronic lymphocytic leukemia, you've heard this many times. Now, what does that say?
Watch and wait.
Okay, we call that benign neglect. You don't want to do harm. She's not getting treated. So everything about this woman's treatment until she got here in March is perfectly okay and good. She should have been out. She was playing tennis. Okay, so now she's come up here. Throw that next one up there. The risk of low gamma globulin and chronic lymphocytic leukemia, when generally this occurs after you've been treated. You can pull that down now. But 15% of people who have this smoldering leukemia, they aren't sick in the least. They're just like us, but their gamma globulin levels are low. So they began giving her gamma globulin to prevent her from having chronic sinus infections and bronchitis and stuff. So everything that's been done to her has been good. My recommendation is get her those 2 COVID shots. When she's had that second COVID shot, there's a tennis center up here.
Right.
Get her in the tennis center and get her out of that dadgum cabin.
Let me
It's yours, Ray.
put the audience, from the audience, I'm trying to imagine their questions here. We talk about patients from the cancer perspective as being higher or lower risk for something like COVID. For the most part, would this lady be considered a higher risk patient, not on any chemotherapy, not on any immune suppression?
Well, yeah, because she's got low gamma globulins, she's got chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and she's over 65.
Okay.
But she's not like somebody who's on aggressive
Immune suppressive,
cancer, aggressive therapy, or even rheumatoid arthritis, or what a psoriasis, getting that stuff you see on TV.
Right. So, I mean, the point being that just because you are seeing an oncologist doesn't mean that you are a higher risk for the COVID.
Right.
I mean, it's more often those that are on aggressive treatment that is suppressing their immune system, or they have a kind of cancer that does it. But most cancers on their own don't.
That's correct.
So, I would challenge one other thing you said there. Mental health is very, very important, and her exercise, her ability to keep her muscles toned up, her ability to get out and get fresh air, her ability to socialize, they're all part of her well-being. And tennis. Outdoor tennis, I mean, it's almost as good as golf. I heard a good joke last week. The guy said, "I've been playing golf a long time. It's the best social distancing there is when I'm out in the woods looking for my golf ball." So, but there's some activities, some physical activities that are pretty doggone safe. So I totally support the advice. I'd even say, hey, go ahead and get outside and do your tennis now. Get your vaccine going. Everyone should be.
Well, she get her vaccine. She can do anything she wants to do. Yes, she
should
should be playing tennis. And cabin fever is his way of saying he's driving her nuts, I think. Really. She's driving her nuts.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, maybe she's driving him nuts too. So,
Remind me to double back on the golf reference. I don't want to stop this, but I want to double back on that.
Okay.
Later.
All right. Well, that's important. For me, it's an Easter egg hunt. But,
Okay.
But anyway, we can go back to that later. I'm going on vacation again next month, and I'm struggling with the place where I'm going on vacation and their fear-based responses. And how many people in America now have had vaccinations? Over 30 million, or I don't know what the exact number is.
It's more than that.
Up there. Okay.
Yeah, it's way up there.
And you got a lot of people who have had no vacation for a year. Okay, and you've got sunny places in the world with abundant sunshine, fresh air, salt water, plenty of space.
Sitting on a boat.
Sitting on a boat. I mean, you've got these incredible places that would be fabulous places to go on a vacation, very healthy places to go on vacation, and the places where those things are need the income. They got lots of folks there just starving for business, and yet we have rulers in the world that think, no, yeah, the only thing we got to do in life is take the hammer out and close down the economy. It's so backwards. It is so unhealthy. It is so destructive to the human spirit, to our economies, to our health. How do you get these people out of our lives now?
Well, let me say this, and let me get into this question a little bit, because the one part in here, I hear this person, very, very active person.
Right.
Okay. And we all should find some sort of activity like this person has had in the past. And it really concerns me, because this is a wonderful individual, and they're not out playing tennis and doing those kind of things. And I can understand, or I guess I say, if you have concerns and you're getting a weekly infusion of something, I could see that.
Yeah, well,
but at the same time, it's really concerning to me that this person hasn't gone out and enjoyed their life.
They lost a year of life. The patient I said I saw this week that was very similar to that lived in Florida in what do you call it? Not assisted living, but a senior community. Okay, where people are over age 50, and it was in a single building. And he and his wife got worried about the COVID got into that building, and they came up here to their house, which apparently it must be a big house because it's gated and they got all sorts of stuff out here on Alaska Road someplace. And he goes to Moffitt Cancer Center. We were talking about that earlier today. And so they told him he could come over here and see me and do whatever he needs to do. He just needs to be followed. But the point was that a lot of these people in urban communities, I know in New York, they've plowed out of New York and gone to Florida and Texas like crazy. I told you last week about somebody in DeKalb County who rented a place in Florida for 18 months so their kids could go back to school. But this is disrupting where people live and the way they live their life. And that's what bothers me about this particular case here, is this woman is getting absolute perfect care where she was. And she was playing tennis. And the virus scared her and her husband. The doctor didn't tell her to come up here, but they got so worried about it that they came up here. Beautiful place to come, and they came up here and they've locked themselves in for a year. I want them to get out, and then I think the best way for her to get out is to go on and let her take the vaccine, because she's worried about that because of something she saw on the internet. And she could go play tennis when she came up here, because that's going to be outdoors. It ain't going to play in a day like today. There's going to be plenty of sunshine out there playing tennis. And so she really has constricted her life more than she needed to do. And let's get her back to work.
Are you a famous guy that said ditto?
Ditto, right? Let me say this before we move to the second one, because these are two doctors that we thank every week for coming and talking to you. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. Okay, but saying that is, please get out and enjoy your life and ask the doc these questions. I won't mention where I was at last night, but I want to put this into this question. So I go to high school basketball in a neighboring state. Well, it's not in Georgia, neighboring state, okay? So, first of all, there's 10 kids on the basketball court. And between the two teams, 6 are wearing a mask and 4 are not. On any given time, half the kids on the court have a mask on while they're playing and half do not. So I went to somebody, I said, okay, what's up? I said, you got 4 or 5 kids, 2 and 3 on each team, that are playing with a mask. A couple kids are not. They said, you go to the doctor. All you do is go to the doctor, get an excuse saying for some reason you can't wear the mask and you don't have to.
So come to me. I'll help them get out of that mask. That's absurd. You should not be exercising. You should not be doing aerobic exercise.
But I watched kids.
Wow.
I watched kids, and I watched a young man coming up the court, and young ladies. It was 2 games, girls and boys, and I watched these young people coming up the court, and they're dribbling the ball. And in basketball, you're going to set up the play, and I watched somebody pull the mask down and
survey so you can see.
Yeah, and set up the play, and then I'm like, what purpose is this at all?
But if any of them were wearing glasses, they were really in trouble.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I read this question, and I'm thinking, what did we do?
Well,
I don't want to get
I'm
stuck
hoping
on that,
more
but
and
when
more-
I
no,
read this question,
this is not getting stuck, because we're trying to undo something that's terrible out there. And I should be proper with our host and our sponsor. Anything I say is of my opinion. I'm not representing the Cancer Institute or the research thing or Northside when I make these medical statements. But I'll tell you a personal thing that happened last week, and I'm not going to disclose the person that did to. But I lost a husband. I've been seeing this couple for over 20 years. And the husband passed away, and his wife was in the lobby to get some testing done. First time I've seen her since he passed away. And she's sitting out dutifully wearing a mask in the lobby. Her husband died of COVID. And I went out and I said, Joyce, stand up. I don't wear a mask because I'm vaccinated now, and give me a hug. And she reluctantly stood up, and I gave her a big old bear hug, and I said, I'm so sorry, and I'm so glad you're in, and I know this has got to be really hard. Really hard. It's just so absolutely, completely permanent. And we talked a little bit, but I wanted her to know I'm not afraid, and she needs people hugging on her, and
Yep.
she needs her friends to be with her, and maybe I was being reckless. I don't think at all I'm being reckless, but I think that was more important than this fear of the virus. Way more important. I've done everything I can to take care of myself around this virus, and I'm trying to be a good physician, and that's part of my therapy, is to care about somebody.
All right.
I get it, and you're discussing the emotional side and what we need on a daily basis for balance.
Sure.
And this lady in this question has missed that for a year, is my thought, right?
Got it.
All right,
You
number
ready?
2.
All right. Now, this is a primary care question here, sort of. My wife had her kidney removed 3 years ago for cancer and has not come back. She gets checked by her urologist every 6 months. Her family doctor says she has anemia now, probably from her kidneys. Referred her to a specialist who checked her iron and says she needed iron before he could give her the Lance Armstrong shots. Remember, we talk about those a lot.
Yes, we have.
He also said she needs to see a GI for scopes. She's never had a scope. What do you think? Now, this is a pretty simple question, but it's got some complexity to it. Pick up that first one over there, Emily. If you were going to take out a kidney of somebody, this does not have an age, but I'm going to say from listening to this woman is probably in her 50s or 60s. If you're going to take out a kidney, right away you're going to cut your kidney function by 50%, right?
Exactly.
That other kidney is going to do some recovery. But if you take a look at how many patients the incidence of kidney failure after taking out your whole kidney or part of a kidney, which is that's all about. Pull it back down, Emily. Everybody that loses a kidney is going to have some degree of chronic kidney failure. Now, I'm 81 years old. I've got some kidney failure, but I've got both my kidneys. So kidney failure, when it gets to a certain point, begins to block your making of red blood cells, and that is the place the Lance Armstrong shot was originally given for. Low blood count related to chronic inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis, or kidney disease, not cancer. Well, when you have a block in that thing with your kidneys, you should have too much iron, not too little iron. So we got to show that next one there. So when you get to the point where you've got too little, so this in kidney failure, you can have. This tells you how you get your bone marrow fails to work, and then it blocks. You can pull that one down. It blocks or inhibits erythropoiesis, which makes you bring in more iron. So when that doctor said her iron was low, he'd expect it to be high. So now Ray's just got a guy in his office who's anemic and has a low iron.
He's got two problems.
He's got two problems. Okay, show the next one. You cannot become iron deficient in the United States without bleeding. It essentially can't happen unless you're a real obligate vegetarian, and even most of them can't become iron deficient. So you are bleeding. All right, Emily, pull that down. If Emily is iron deficient, she's a young woman, it's probably related to menstrual cycles. If she's an older woman and has had 3 kids, it's menstrual cycles plus the kids. But in postmenopausal women or in men, it generally is going to be a blood loss from the gastrointestinal tract. You haven't been shot, stabbed, or something, and therefore the only way to do it is you got to look in the stomach, you got to look in the colon. And lastly, Medicare and insurance won't let you give Lance Armstrong shots unless your blood iron level is normal. So nobody who ever gets a Lance Armstrong shot for any diagnosis can do so without normal iron studies. And that happens to be the way that primary care physicians generally save somebody's life when they're iron deficient, by making them go get scoped and find colon cancer or something in the stomach or esophagus that caused it. You're going to give them the iron, but then you're going to take care of their colon cancer. So they're doing the right thing. Make her get the scopes, let her get the iron, and that'll fix her kidneys.
I love that we're using lay terms, getting scoped. I just call it the big black tube. But, restating what Bill just said in a little bit different terms, that the person has 2 different systems going on here. Their kidneys, which produce this hormone, which we replace, which we're calling the Lance Armstrong drug, the erythropoietin, it stimulates the bone marrow to make more blood. When you lose a kidney or have injured kidneys, you have less of that erythropoietin being made, and therefore you have less stimulation to the bone marrow. The bone marrow needs iron. Every heme molecule has an iron in the middle of it. It has to have that iron in order to make those cars that carry that oxygen. So there's a double whammy going on here. There's not enough erythropoietin probably from the renal damage, and there's not enough iron to be making the cars. So Bill's absolutely right.
So where'd the iron go? That's the question.
Where's that iron going?
Where'd the iron go? That lady bled somewhere.
Yeah, she's got a leak in her oil pan.
Leak in the oil pan. All right.
Okay.
All right, now we'll hear Mama's question before we get into the news here.
All right, wait a minute. Well, first of all, I want to thank Georgia Cancer Specialists and Northside Hospital for this segment. And now I pulled up a little information here, and as you said, this first question, somebody had been looking a little too much at the internet. So now last week, my mother had a question, and she thinks somebody she knows should be on a diet.
No.
Don't you jump in this too fast.
No. She finally got my letter.
She got it.
Interestingly, that's the second thing on the news of the week. It's going to come with this question. Go ahead.
So, my mom said, ask the doc what they think of this Golo pill, this Golo diet pill.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Let me.
Maybe she's been on the internet.
She's been on television.
Oh, television?
It's a TV ad. All right.
Okay.
First of all,
I don't know. She knows somebody she thinks should be on the diet.
First of all, this is kind of easy. You've got to earn money to spend it, right? So this is a pure calories in, calories out business. Nobody in Auschwitz or Buchenwald got out fat, right? Those are Nazi concentration camps for you young people over there. So it's calories in versus calories out. The first thing on the news, the medical news, was that part about the kids and not getting primary care and stuff. We'll come back to. But the second one is, why do high protein diets work in weight control when most other things do not? And the answer was, people aren't eating a bunch of carbohydrates when they're on a high protein diet. So just about every kind of diet that you see, if you talk about the ones you get off the TV, Nutrisystems and all the rest of that, if you look at the composition of the meals, they're calorie restricted, but most of the carbohydrates are coming from the carrots and the peas and not coming from the bread and the cake. And they are basically, you got to get a gram protein per kilogram body weight every day or you're in bad trouble. So that GOLO thing it says, when used with a program of, look at it, when used with a program of exercise and nutritionally appropriate diet. Look at that diet you got there. Go back and look at that. That's salmon. Isn't that a piece of salmon?
It's all meat.
I think that's a piece of salmon. Yeah, look at that piece of salmon and broccoli. I mean, you don't have to have the GOLO pill if you're eating like that, do you?
I don't know. Hey, Mom asked the question, and when Mom asks, I have to ask the question.
Well, I need to jump on Bill real quick because we're not allowed to make political statements on here. And there he went saying that you have to earn money before you spend it now.
Oh, yeah.
That
was a
that's
mistake.
That's a whole party that really hates that. So. Ditto. I mean, we talk many times about the multi-billion-dollar industry that the diet world is, and it's physics.
Diet supplements.
You got to burn more calories than you eat. And
well, see, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I can explain it. Now, Mom, thank you for the question, and I know you know somebody you think should be on a diet. But now here's what I struggle with. Is there's doctors I know that they prescribe medication that says take with a meal.
Yeah, okay, it's my
I
fault.
got you.
Yeah, damn.
I'm just saying.
It's a conspiracy. It's a pharmaceutical conspiracy.
Sorry,
okay,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's busted.
You're not very funny. Ray's funny. Ray was really funny.
All right,
I got to tell you, that was like Scott McCloud funny there.
Okay.
That was like Larry the Cable Guy funny there. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to medical news here. The first one, and there are 10 different medical news sites. Within the top two, I guess for some reason it's almost like the Democratic talking points. Everybody has the same thing on the same little phrase, Anyway, coming at it from different directions. One of them was focusing on kids and preschool physicals that they're not getting, so that nobody talks to them about. They don't check their eyes, they don't check them for scoliosis, the doctor doesn't talk to them about their shots. Obviously, the dental lobby is really worried, and so they're in there about the kids not getting their dental checkups and nobody else getting their dental checkups. I think various ones of these professional groups have probably pushed this forward, but it's really, really, really important. Cancer diagnosis is going down. 2 days ago, they published the life expectancy figures for Americans. Remember, it went down 1 year.
Mm-hmm. That's
every year for the last 50 years, it's gone up by a month, a week, a day, half a year. Going down a full year is a huge, huge thing. A lot of it, people died from COVID. A lot of it, people committed suicide. But, like we've said before, they're not getting colonoscopies, they're not going to their doctor and getting their diabetes treated, and not getting mammograms. Period. Paragraph. In the report. So the second thing was about the diet, and you already brought that one up.
When you bring that up, we talked earlier, and we talk about kids, and I want to stay focused here because this is Ask the Doc. And we talk about kids and getting back in school, and we've talked about that with COVID and safety and keeping the desks clean and mask and everything. But what gets left out of the conversation is, just like you said, I'm going to call it 1970 something, all right? but we had a mobile dentist unit come to the school, okay? And we all got a checkup, just a brief little dental checkup. They talked to us about, hygiene, brushing your teeth, things like that. You went home with a little toothbrush, a little toothpaste, and a little note to your mom and dad. Billy has a cavity, or we recommend this follow-up, or whatever. So much of that the kids are missing.
Well, do you remember when
am I correct?
You remember when they took the boys into the gym and they put them in their shorts and then they all stood up and touched the ground and some orthopedic nurse or pediatrician looked at their back? Was their back straight?
Scoliosis test.
Scoliosis test.
I get it.
Yeah, but how simple is that?
Right. I'm really, one of the things I love.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. One of the things I love to do is to try to really keep simplifying things and keep making it easy to understand. Our culture, our society, my profession has done this incredible thing of increasing treatments, increasing access to treatments, increasing protocols of how to get things screened for and identified. I mean, the advancements, this all hits on Bill's point of our life expectancy going down, okay? That's a complete indictment of what we've gone through in the last year. Complete indictment, okay? Because here it is in a country with incredible science and medicine and all kinds of stuff that's increasing the longevity, not only the longevity, but the quality of life for people, okay? And we've lost ground because of this fear-based treatment, okay? It's simple now. I keep talking about, well, I wish they had changed their therapy. So let's go back to the basics, and we've been saying this all along. Identify if you're at high risk for COVID. Take the precautions that you have now learned and that your doctor can help you with. Everyone else, go about your life. Go about your life, celebrate life, get back out on the street, get back to work, go out on vacation, do all that you need to do. Though that doesn't just mean that the people who are at risk should just be careless. They need to be smart about this, but everyone else needs to get back to life.
Let me give you something. I use this forever. When they started Social Security, the average woman lived to 62, the average man lived to 57. Before this, the average woman was now living to 86, and the average man was living to 80 or 81. Now that's a 20-year improvement in survival, or up to 30-year improvement in survival in about the last 50 years. Why? Smallpox vaccinations, polio shots, all these things that used to kill people. So don't be afraid of taking a flu shot. Don't be afraid of taking vaccines, and treatments have made this happen. Diet, exercise, and tests have made this happen. And to have all this anti-vaccine hoopla when it's polio shots and smallpox vaccinations and things that have helped extend our life, to me doesn't make any sense.
One final thing for me, we're seeing numbers decline in hospitalizations. We're seeing.
Oh yeah, I got that for you right here. Wait a minute.
You have that? Okay.
Okay, the number of cases.
Cover that for us
the
today.
number of cases in the United States per week fell by 44% in the last 2 weeks. Cases, 44%. That's pretty much heads and tails when you flip a coin. Deaths are down 39% in the last 14 days, and hospitalizations are down 30% in the last 14 days. Those are all going in the right direction. Now, the fearmonger people are out there saying, well, it's going to turn right back and go up because South African strain and English strain and everything else are going to come in here, and they are. The vaccine is going to be effective in helping mitigate that, and the same thing, keep the fine china taken care of. That thing's not going to be any different about being on a golf course or playing tennis than the old one, and quit trying to scare people. Yes, keep on doing what we're doing, but don't make everybody panic and open the schools next September instead of opening them tomorrow. Our schools are open up here, praise the Lord.
Wrap this up.
Well, I want to get back to normal. I haven't told a joke in months.
Oh, good. Tell a joke.
So this couple checked into the hotel. I'm going to go away for this weekend, but they checked into a tall hotel, and they were on the 5th floor. And at 10 o'clock, the lady calls down to the front desk person. She said, so I've got a very upset husband up here. He's very distraught, and he's threatening to jump out the window. And the guy at the front desk said, ma'am, that's a personal problem. I can't help you with your personal problem. I'm the only person in the hotel at the front desk here. Being the maintenance guy, we're all that's here. That's a personal problem. You're going to have to deal with that. She says, I would not call you about a personal problem. I can take care of my own personal problem. This is a maintenance problem. I can't get the damn window open.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
That's that guy getting stir crazy up there in the mountains.
Okay.
Donate blood.
All right.
So
Donate
that's
blood, get
my
your shot.
thing is you put that in the box of that's getting back to normal. You told a joke. Okay, folks.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Get your COVID shot and donate blood.
Yes, get the vaccine.
Go see your primary care doctor.
Georgia Cancer Specialist affiliated with Northside Hospital. Thank you so much for this segment. Thank you for your questions out there every week for Dr. Whaley. Don't forget, you can send those to info, I-N-F-O, at FetchYourNews.com. You can find us on social media. Ask the Doc, Fetch Your News on social media, FYNTV. And you can also find this segment if you want to share it with friends. Go to FYNTV.com. Click on Ask the Doc. All the segments are there. Also get some information about Northside Hospital. Get some information about Dr. Whaley. It's right there on FYNTV.com. Ask the Doc and our YouTube channel, FYNTV, Fetch Your News playlist, Ask the Doc. So appreciate you guys. You got to get to work.
Yeah.
You're not late for work, are you?
No, I'm all right.
Okay. Well, you maybe deserve to be late every once in a while if you want to. Folks, we'll be right back after these messages with the All-Star Political Panel.